to the greenhouse again. If you haven't watched the first clip we did on the greenhouse, it's in the video with the rhubarb cake, and it's linked in the description. So here we are back in the greenhouse. It's been a few months and a lot of things are growing, but it's also been more difficult in some ways. The cats get in, as you can see, there's some damage here. And with the peppers and the cucumbers, we've got a problem with some aphids. I've sprayed them with some soap and water and oil mixture, and that seems to help, but I'll need to keep on top of it because with the warmth and the moisture, the aphids seem to love that environment. And here's a lot more peppers, and I've got the strawberries going, the carrots, and the beets have been here since the beginning. That's some of the first ones I planted. And I think in the beginning I wasn't soaking them quite enough, so they grew quite slowly. And with the intense heat, the carrots actually went to seed, some of them. So I'm trying to decide when to shake the seeds out to maybe try and reuse those. And as you can see up above me, I have a lot of shading going on because we found out pretty quickly that if you don't shade when the sun is at its hottest in the summer, then the plants get burnt. The beets here had the effect the most of the burning, but the shade cloth seems to be helping. And these are my squash plants. They're kind of taking over this bed. There's a number of different squash. There's only one variety, and I'm not sure if there's any that are actually growing bigger right now. Oh, here's one, kind of hanging over the side. That's probably the biggest one here. And in the corner here, we've got two tubs that grew potatoes, but again, because of the intense heat in the greenhouse, they flowered, they grew very tall and they flowered quickly. And one tub I already emptied, and there were potatoes growing, but they were very small. So today we're going to tip this one over and see what's in there. So there's a little one. Whoa, they're not all little. There's a good sized one. Here's another bigger one. So not a huge harvest, but we have a nice meal of nice yellow potatoes. But hopefully we've also got a lot of potatoes planted outside, and I think those that weren't, they're just flowering now, so they weren't exposed to the intense heat of this greenhouse, and I hope they'll be doing better. So I'll leave the dirt here. I'll put that back in tomorrow into the bin, and we'll have something ready to try and grow something else. The next thing we're going to look at is outside, because last time we started some compost fertilizer, and so we have these buckets that have been sitting here that had all kinds of scraps thrown in them and water added, and they've been sitting in the warmth, and I'm going to now drain the water off to use for fertilizer. So these buckets, the lids are just, I'm going to seal it so it's open just a crack. Actually, I need to turn it a bit. So it's just cracked on this side, and then I will tip it over top of this bucket and just let it sit there and drain. Okay, this bucket has been sitting here for a while, so it's had time to drain some out. So I'm going to tip this up for now. It does not have a very pretty smell, but I don't think the plants mind that. So I'm going to put some of this in my jugs and add water and use some of it to fertilize some of the plants. So this jug's already got some water, so I'll make some space. Don't know if there's a set amount to use for this, but I'm not going to make it too strong, so I'll add probably about 2 cups into the watering can, which is 2 gallons. And then I want to mix it up a bit. And then I'll feed it to some of these celery here, which are newly planted. Let's give them some. And then also in the other bed, I have some newly planted lettuce. So I'm going to put the rest of this can on the lettuce here, which was planted 2 days ago. Okay, and I have more of this, but I'm going to use that, try and use that in the next couple days on my outdoor garden, because the plants there are really in need of some fertilizer. Also outside here, we also have the garden that I talked about in the first gardening video that we did. And as you heard then, I was planning to turn this into a lasagna garden with layers, and then with cardboard, and then layers to that can compost, and then that we would put topsoil on top to start growing things. But we ran out of time this year, so the current plan is to build a coop over top of this area and have the chickens overwinter here so that they can really scratch things up and help with the composting process, and then by next spring it might be ready to start using as an outdoor garden. Okay, these are plants. Potatoes first. We have this outdoor area that I put some of my pots, which I started in the greenhouse but moved outdoors when it got quite warm there. So I have a number of containers with potatoes, and they're all doing well. One of them, as you see, is beginning to flower. And then over on the other end of this row, I have my blueberry plants, which I brought from Chilliwack and kept in the greenhouse. They produced quite a few blueberries that we used. There's still a few on here. And they're now outside, and I will have to surround them with dirt to kind of protect them. They're in a protected area, and I'm hoping they'll be okay to overwinter and produce again next year. And finally, we have our outdoor garden. I'm not sure if that was in the same video, but we did introduce you to it in an earlier video. So we have the rows of corn that are doing quite well. Everything here needs weeding. We haven't been able to keep up with that. It's always a struggle to get everything done that needs to be done. And here we have a row of potatoes that's doing really well, 2 rows of beets, 2 rows of carrots, a row of beans, which not very many of them came up. And then at the end, there's also some zucchini. Oh, there's a few cucumbers in this row here. Only 3 plants, and I'm not sure if they will even produce cucumbers because it's already into August. And then we have some cantaloupe plants that are also not doing that great here outside. Maybe this soil is depleted and we need to add a lot of compost and topsoil as well. And then some zucchini, and there was a pumpkin plant, but they kind of get the end of the sprinkler spray, and it's a bit tough for them to survive here. So there's your update for the garden and for the greenhouse. A lot of hard work and a lot of learning.